Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are going to continue with Unit 3, and this time it's going to be Skill 4, given approximate figures. What does this mean? It means that what words and phrases are we going to use when we estimate something؟ لما نيجي نقدر حاجة، لما نيجي نعمل حاجة تقريبية، نتكلم نقول مثلا تقريبا كده في حدود كذا، أكتر من، أقل من كده. So in this one we're going to learn what are the words and phrases for approximating numbers. لما نيجي نتكلم عن حاجات تقريبية وحاجات تقديرية، ايه هي الكلمات اللي احنا هنستخدمها؟ Okay, we are going to do this in the shape of a conversation between two people. هنعرف الكلمات دي والتعبيرات دي من خلال محادثة بين شخصين. Okay? So let's start. The first phrase we have is ballpark figure. Ballpark figure معناها تقريبي، يعني لما نيجي نعطي حاجة تقريبية approximate، هي معناها كده حرفي. ballpark figure means an approximate number، رقم تقريبي، or an estimate، تقدير. So let's begin. Number A says, they want to know how many hours I spend on social media. How would I calculate that? You just need to give a ballpark figure. يبقى هنا معناه ايه؟ بتسألها وهم عاوزين يعرفوا عدد الساعات اللي انا بقضيها على السوشيال ميديا، ازاي هحسب ده؟ فهي بتقول لها انت بس محتاجة تعطي حاجة تقريبية، رقم تقريبي. يبقى ballpark figure means an approximate number, an estimate. Okay, the next phrase we have is off the top of my head. So this is the completion of the conversation. احنا هنكمل المحادثة دي هتفضل معانا لحد ما نخلص كل التعبيرات، فدي مكملة. فردت عليها قالت لها ايه؟ I know, but it is difficult to say off the top of my head. Means it is difficult to say it from memory without much or careful consideration. Off the top of my head معناها ان احنا نقول كده على طول ونعطي رقم تقريبي او نقدر من غير ما نفكر فيها، من الذاكرة بس كده، من غير اي تفكير او اهتمام بان الرقم اللي انا قلته ده صحيح او اقرب للصحيح ولا لا. يعني حاجة في المتوسطة، المتوسط اللي انا فاكراه. Of the top of my head, without thinking, from memory, without much consideration. The next phrase or word is roughly. B. It would make sense when you compare it with the time you spend off social media. Well, let's say roughly half and half. يبقى هما هنا بيكملوا المحادثة، بتقول لها هتبقى أسهل وهتبقى منطقية لو انتي قارنتيها بالوقت اللي انتي مش بتقضيه على السوشيال ميديا. هما عاوزين يعرفوا الوقت اللي هي بتقضيه على السوشيال ميديا قد ايه، فهي مش عارفة تقول من غير ما تفكر، فقالت لها هتبقى منطقية أكتر لو انتي قارنتيها بالوقت اللي انتي مش بتقضيه على السوشيال ميديا. فقالت لها well let's say roughly half and half. ماشي، هنقول بقى كده roughly يعني تقريبا ما يقارب half and half، يعني 50% و50%. The next one, nowhere near. Wow, you are a social media addict. Addict يعني مدمن. Addict we do not use it just for drugs. ما بنستخدمش addict عشان بس نقول إنه مدمن مخدرات. Addict لأي حاجة. Some people may be addicted to video games. Some people may be addicted to social media. يبقى مدمن لأي حاجة. مدمن مش معناها مدمن مش اللي هي مخدرات. Addict means that they use something or do something or an activity for most of their time. بيعملوا حاجة أو بيستخدموا حاجة لوقت كتير. This is addict. So she answered her and said, I'm nowhere near my friend. She spends much more time than me on social media. أنا مجيش حاجة جنب صاحبتي. Nowhere near. مجيش حاجة جنب صاحبتي. هي بتقضي وقت أكتر مني بكتير على السوشيال ميديا. يبقى roughly half and half. Nowhere near means not nearly. ما تجيش حاجة جنبها، حاجة بسيطة خالص. Okay, now the next phrase is somewhere in the region of. Somewhere in the region of we can say that it is equal to roughly, similar to roughly. It means again approximately، ما يقارب، نفس المعنى بتاع roughly برضه، somewhere in the region of، ما يقارب. Then how much time does she spend? Somewhere in the region of 2/3 of her time. ما يقارب تلتين وقتها. التلتين يعني 66%، نقول 65 يعني، يبقى somewhere in the region of 2/3 of her time. Okay, the next phrase we have is pretty much. Pretty much means very very nearly. Pretty much يعني إلى حد كبير. You too should seriously stop using social media that much. I don't spend all of my time on social media just for fun. I'm an analyst. محللة. I spend pretty much of my time on social media analyzing what I see. أنا بقضي أكتر وقتي اللي أنا بقضيه على السوشيال ميديا بتبقى علشان أحلل اللي أنا بشوفه. This is something in linguistics. دي حاجة موجودة في اللغويات. Some people do their master degree and their doctorate in analyzing social media, what people write on social media. This is a thing. في حاجة كده فعلا، الناس بتحلل الأداء بتاع الناس والناس اللي بتكتبه على السوشيال ميديا، بتحلل ال behaviors بتاعتهم. So pretty much means very nearly، إلى حد كبير. Now the next phrase we have is well over. Number B. Yes, right. Do all of your colleagues analyze people's behaviors on social media? I say well over half of them. Well over means more than. يبقى احنا هنا بنقول حاجة تقريبية ولكن هي أكتر من دي، يبقى أكتر من نصهم. well over. يبقى well over means a lot, but you are not sure of the number, so you say well over. Well over half of them. The next one, a good. How many, if you could be more accurate، بتسألها طب قد ايه يعني انت بتقول ان هو اكتر من نصهم، النسبة قد ايه مثلا لو انت عايزة تبقي دقيقة اكتر؟ قالت لها a good 2/3 of them means a good number of them, a good 2/3 of them. تلتهم برضو، تلتهم، التلتين. So a good means this much or more of a specific amount, this much. So this is the meaning of a good. A good means this much, which is 2/3 of them، يعني التلتين. A good. The next one we have is the vast majority. Number B. B said the rest just do surveys. والباقيين بيعملوا مجرد استطلاعات رأي. So this is the way people analyze the psychology of people. If you wanted to analyze the psychology of a person, you either watch over their behaviors on any activity, or you could do surveys. لا إما بنراقب تصرفاتهم في نشاط معين، أو إن إحنا بنعمل surveys، بنعمل استطلاعات رأي. So she said, the rest just do surveys? She answered, yes, but it is not accurate, because the vast majority of people would not say the truth, but on social media they speak out their minds. قالت لها أيوة، الباقي اللي هم التلتين بيستخدموا الفيس والتويتر والسوشيال ميديا، التلت الباقي بيعمل surveys، استطلاعات رأي. قالت لها yes, but it is not accurate، مش دقيقة، because the vast majority of people would not say the truth. لأن أغلب الناس، يبقى دي نسبة كبيرة. The vast majority، أغلب الناس مش بتقول الحقيقة. والسوشيال ميديا، على السوشيال ميديا بيقولوا next to nothing. This is the next phrase. Really, I thought it is the opposite, that people on social media tend to be more careful about what they write. بتقول لها فعلا أنا فكرت إن ده العكس، إن الناس على السوشيال ميديا بيبقوا حريصين أكتر على اللي هم بيقولوه. قالت لها it's true, but when we watched over the same people who who took the survey on Facebook and Twitter, they were next to nothing of what they wrote in the survey. قلت لها ده صحيح، ولكن لما جينا نراقب نفس الناس اللي خدوا السيرفي على فيسبوك وتويتر كانوا أبعد ما يكون عن اللي هم كتبوه في السيرفي. next to nothing. It means almost zero. Next to nothing, almost zero. So these are the phrases and the words that we use when we estimate something or when we estimate a number approximately. لما نيجي نتكلم عن تقريب أو عن التقدير لحاجة. To understand it fully, we have this scale from 2% to 95%. We have the phrases and the words arranged in the order of their how approximate and how accurate are they. يبقى احنا هنا عندنا الكلمات والexpressions والphrases من أقل نسبة لأكبر نسبة. ان احنا لما نيجي نختار الكلمة دي أو الجملة دي النسبة بتاعتها بتبقى ايه. نبدأ من تحت. next to nothing يعني almost zero، فهي موجودة عند 2%. somewhere in the region of and roughly 50%. in the region, somewhere in the region of and roughly 50%. somewhere in the region of أقل منها سنة أو ممكن حتى كمان تكون مقاربة ليها. a good is more than 50%. well over is more than 50%. nowhere near is more than 50%. all of these three words could be in the region of 60%. ممكن الثلاث كلمات دول يكونوا بيقعوا في ان اللي احنا بنتكلم عنه ده 60%. and of course the vast majority and pretty much are both 95%. يبقى these are the expressions and phrases that we use when we approximate something, when we estimate something. لما نيجي نقدر حاجة أو نحط رقم تقريبي أو مش برقم أي حاجة تانية تقريبية بنستخدم الكلمات دي. next to nothing means almost zero. somewhere in the region of means approximate ما يقارب. roughly means approximate also ما يقارب approximately. a good means this much of a specific amount. For example, if someone asked you how many grades did you get in math, for example, you would say a good A means this much of a specific amount. So a good. We have well over. Well over means more than. It is this, it is more of a specific amount. So a good is this much of a specific amount. Well over is more of a specific amount. Nowhere near. Nowhere near means plus of. Nowhere near means not nearly. Not nearly. The vast majority, very nearly. Pretty much, very nearly. What do we have it? No, nowhere near. No, the vast majority and pretty much are both very nearly. We still have some words that we didn't put on this one. What are they? They are ballpark figure, means an approximate number or an estimate. Off top of my head, from memory or without much or careful consideration. We didn't put them in these percentage. Why? Because we use this in order to explain that what we are going to talk about is something we didn't think of. يبقى احنا هنا حطينا 8 تعبيرات. المفروض هم 10، احنا خدنا 10، دول 8. احنا ما حطيناش حاجتين. ballpark figure means an approximate number, and off the top of my head, which means from memory or without much or careful consideration. لأن two phrases دول احنا ما بنستخدمهمش للتعبير عن ما يقارب أو ما بيستخدموش عشان يعبروا عن حاجة كبيرة أو حاجة في النص أو حاجة قليلة. ده اللي هما just phrases بنستخدمهم قبل ما نيجي نقارب، يعني قبل ما نقول ان تقريبا الكمية كذا، احنا بنقول for example I would give a ballpark figure، يعني انا هعطي تقريبي، هعطي تقدير. التقدير ايه؟ احنا ما قلناهوش، فهم مش بيعبروا عن نسبة. التو phrases دول مش بيعبروا عن نسبة، مجرد تعبيرات احنا بنستخدمها قبل ما نقول النسبة اللي احنا عاوزينها، قبل ما نعبر عن التقدير اللي احنا هنقوله. هل التقدير اللي احنا هنقوله pretty much ولا the vast majority ولا nowhere near ولا next to nothing؟ فاحنا بنستخدم ال two phrases دول ballpark figure and of the top of my head قبل ما نتكلم عن النسبة الحقيقية والتقدير اللي احنا هنقوله، علشان كده هم مش موجودين هنا. I hope that this was clear. Now we are going to move to the exercises. Okay, so this skill is giving approximate figures. Number 11A, you don't have it, so we're going to start with 11B. The following extract is from a questionnaire used in the review, which was sent to staff in the company's design department. Read the questionnaire and match each question from 1 to 3 to points A to C. Now, this questionnaire is actually C88. الquestionnaire اللي قدامنا دي اللي بالازرق دي المفروض انها جزء من المحادثة في C، بس C دي مش عندكم في الكتاب، عشان كده انا هقول لكم المحادثة عبارة عن ايه، بس عشان دي احنا لازم ناخدها. فهقول لكم المحادثة عبارة عن ايه لانها مش عليكم اساسا. المحادثة عبارة عن ان احنا عندنا 1 2 3. There are two persons, two ladies are talking about a questionnaire that the company asked them to fill. بيتكلموا عن questionnaire، عن استطلاع الشركة بتاعتهم عايزاهم يملوها عشان يعرفوا كل واحد بيشتغل في كل حتة قد ايه وبنسبة كام. Number 1 A and B، حاطين لهم حاجتين يقارنوا بينهم. Number 1 A doing technical tasks that use my engineering skills extensively. هنا هما بيسألوا الموظفين ايه هل انتم النسبة اللي انتم بتقضوها في انكم تعملوا technical tasks، تعملوا مهام بتحتاج شغل وبتحتاج المهارات الهندسية بتاعتكم وبتستخدموها فيها بدرجة كبيرة، which means that it needs experience، بتحتاج خبرة. Okay, what about number B? Doing moderately technical tasks that a less qualified colleague could do. هل انتم من الناس اللي بتعمل مهمات بتحتاج الخبرة الهندسية بتاعتها والمهارات الهندسية بتاعتها العالية، ولا من الناس اللي بتعمل مهمات ممكن اي حد يعملها غيرها، ممكن حد less qualified يعني مش مؤهل بالدرجة العالية ان هو يقدر يعملها. which means that are you experienced or not؟ هل انت عندك خبرة ولا لا؟ ايه هي المهام اللي انت بتعملها؟ This is number 1 A and B. Number 2 A and B. Doing technical tasks that add value like designing and problem solving. B. Doing tasks that do not add value, administration. Number A means all the things you do require technical skills. هل اللي انت بتعمله بيبقى ليه علاقة بالتصميم وحل المشكلات في التصميم وهكذا، ولا number 2 doing tasks that do not add value، مش بتقدم حاجة للمشروع ليها قيمة بل مجرد تجارية. Administrations is something about management، الإدارة. Okay, so administration in what sense? In the sense that you promote, for example, for the product that you're doing, that you are the one responsible for getting projects from other companies. So this is the meaning of this. Are you one of those who do technical tasks that add value, like add value to the product itself? It does not mean that do not add value or add value that add value is something valuable, and what you do is not valuable. No, it means that add value to the product itself. Do you design? Do you solve the problems of designing and of a application? Or are you just responsible for the commercial side and the commercial side of the product and of the project? Number 3, doing tasks that are purely technical. Doing tasks that relate to technical organization and decision making. Are you an engineer that only does the project, do what you're asked to do, بتعمل اللي بيطلب منك وخلاص, or are you the one who do the things about technical organization and decision making? يعني احنا ممكن نقول في دي ان احنا بنقارن بين الانجينير and senior engineer, المهندس العادي اللي بيشتغل تحت ايد المهندس اللي مسؤول عنه, والمهندس اللي هو اللي مشرف على المشروع, بيعمل برضو technical organization, بيعمل برضو معاهم وبيشتغل معاهم, ولكن برضو بيبقى مسؤول عن decision making, بياخد القرارات. So these are 1, 2 and 3. Now we are going to see A, B and C. Which one of 1, 2 and 3? Number A, the extent of technical rule versus management rule. ايه هو management rule؟ هل انت بتعمل management rule ولا technical rule? Which one of the questionnaires we have is the one talked about this? It is number 3. السؤال رقم 3 هو اللي اتكلم عن technical rule versus management rule, الإدارة والعمل برضو والتقنية في نفس الوقت, الدور التقني والدور الإداري. This is number 3. Number B, the degree of commercial exploitation of technical skills. دي ليها علاقة زي ما قلنا في administration. You are the one responsible for getting the products and for commercing it. Commercial means commerce, related to commerce, تجارة. يبقى إلى أي درجة technical skills دي بتستخدم في commercial exploitation. So number 2 is going to be B. B is 2. And of course C, the degree of application of expertise and experience. الخبرة, عامل الخبرة في الموضوع, of course it's going to be A, if you have experience or not. So this is gonna be it. Number D, complete the following sentences using the words or phrases in the box. Sometimes more than one answer is possible. بعض الأحيان هنلاقي إن كل إجابة ممكن تكون تنفع يبقى فيه أكتر من إجابة للنقطة الواحدة. Number 1, they asked for ballpark figure for setting up the new system. سألوا عن an approximate number, رقم تقريبي أو تقدير, علشان يبدأوا يعملوا a new system الجديد. Number 2, I've got the figures in my computer, but I couldn't tell you blank. Figure here does not mean a shape. It means a number related to statics. فهو عنده هنا الفيجر قصده الرقم أو التقدير أو الستاتكس موجودة على الكمبيوتر بتاعه. But I couldn't tell you what off the top of my head. ما اقدرش اقول لك كده من غير ما افكر. يعني هو بيقول له انا عندي الحاجة على الكمبيوتر بتاعي بس انا مش هقدر اقول لك كده, لازم انت تشوفها على الكمبيوتر, ده اللي قصده. But I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Number 3, the work is blank finished. There's just tidying up to do. هنا هو بيقول ان الشغل نقط خلص, ما عادش فيه بس غير مجرد tidying up, نلم بقى اللي احنا عملناه. So which one are we going to use? Is it nowhere near? No. لو احنا قلنا the work is nowhere near finished, it means that we still have lots of things to do. Is it roughly? No. Roughly means that we are 50% in the way. You're 50% on the way of finishing the project. somewhere in the region of, it is the same as roughly. So the word we are looking for is pretty much. The work is pretty much finished. Means 95% of the work is finished. Number 4. The actual cost of the stadium was blank. The estimate at £2 million over budget. This symbol is the symbol of pound. Of the pound. So again, the actual cost of the stadium was blank. The estimate at £2 million over budget. هو هنا بيقارن بين حاجتين. ده اللي هيخلينا نعرف انهي كلمة هنستخدمها. The actual cost. لما جم يعملوا المشروع لقوا ان التكلفة الحقيقية كانت كذا مقارنة ب the estimate at £2 million over budget. الأكثر من 2 مليون اللي متقدرة. يبقى هنستخدم ايه؟ the actual cost. الفرق بين the actual cost and the estimate cost. مينفعش نختار roughly. If we said the actual cost of the stadium was roughly the estimate at 2 million over budget, it would not make sense. So this is going to be nowhere near. The actual cost of the stadium was nowhere near the estimate at £2 million over budget. Number 5. I think it will take blank 2 weeks to complete the report. We have nothing left but roughly and somewhere in the region of, and both of them are similar, so you can use both of them. I think it will take roughly 2 weeks to complete the report, or I think it will take somewhere in the region of 2 weeks to complete the report. Number 6. The development will cost roughly $10 million, or the development will cost somewhere in the region of $10 million. يبقى احنا لما نيجي نتكلم عن حاجة محددة مش هنقارنها بحاجة تانية نستخدم roughly و somewhere in the region of. إنما لما نيجي نتكلم عن حاجة زي الرقم 4 number 4 بنقارن بين حاجتين. قلنا ان ال actual cost حاجة وال estimated cost حاجة تانية خالص. يبقى nowhere near. Okay, now move to number 8. I added these ones. I added roughly, somewhere in the region of, and pretty much because we do not have it in the book, and as I said, the extract that this question is supposed to be based on is not with you in the book. المفروض ان الاكستراكت ده يكون كان معتمد عليه السؤال ده، بس هم حاطين السؤال ومش حاطين السؤال بتاع الاكستراكت، فعلشان كده. So E. In pairs, ask and answer the questions from the questionnaire in exercise 11B using the phrase in exercise 11D. Note down your partner's answers. المفروض كان ده يبقى أسئلة وإجابات. حد يسأل ويستخدم كلمات من الكلمات اللي فوق دي، وحد يجاوب ويقول النسبة ايه. So number 1 is roughly. If I said that number 1, which is this one, doing technical tasks and doing moderately technical tasks is roughly. So what does it mean here? It means 50-50. Okay. What about if I said somewhere in the region of, according to number 2? In the extract, she said that what is she most doing is problem solving, not administration. When she said that I do this more than that, she used the expression somewhere in the region of. So it's not going to be 50-50. في بعض الحالات ممكن roughly somewhere in the region of يبقى معناها النص، ولكن على حسب السياق. roughly في الأولى هي قالت إنها بتعمل الحاجتين دول زي بعض في 50-50. somewhere in the region of قالت إنها بتعمل ال problem solving أكتر من ال administration، فساعتها هتبقى somewhere in the region of معناها 70% and 30%، لأنها في الإكستراكت اللي مش عندكم ده قالت التلتين، قالت 2/3. So it's going to be 70 and 30. We're not going to write 66. We're going to say 70. هنقرب النسبة 66 نقربها ل70 تبقى 70 and 30. Number 3 pretty much. Pretty much number 3 she said that she is doing tasks that are purely technical over those requiring organization and decision making. Pretty much. So pretty much is more than 90%, right? But we're not going to put 95% and 5%. So this one is going to be 90%. A is going to be 10% and B is going to be 90%. She do things related to decision making more than purely technical. انا لخبطتهم قبل كده. يبقى هي بتعمل حاجات ليها علاقة باتخاذ القرار اكتر من انها بتعمل حاجات technical. طبعا ده كان هيتفهم اكتر لو في الاكستراكت بس هو مش موجود. Okay, now this one we have the extract 8.9. we have it with us. So as a part of the company's internal review, an assessment is being made of the hardware and software that make up the firm's computer aided design CAD system. CAD the acronym Lee Computer Aided Design. Dan, a design engineer, is talking to Patrice, his manager, about the state of the system. Listen and mark the following statements true or false. Okay, so we are going to listen to what she said and what they talked about and answer these questions. We're going to see the questions first. Number 1, most of the screens are too small. Number 2, engineers spend a lot of time working on screen. Number 3, large numbers of drawings are printed at their office. Okay, so we're going to start with Beatrice asking Dan about what they are going to do. At this stage, I'm not asking you to give me a detailed breakdown of all the IT equipment we're going to need. It would just be useful to have a rough idea of what's most urgent. Sure. Well, one of the biggest problems is the screens at the CAD stations. A lot of those need replacing with bigger ones. Roughly speaking, I would say well over half of them are too small. A good 2/3 of them actually. So we're talking about 15 to 18 screens, something like that. Okay, how urgent is that? Well, I mean they all work, they all function properly. The trouble is, the engineers spend the vast majority of the time working with these screens, and because the detail on them is so small, it's pretty hard work on the eyes, to the point that it affects productivity. So, okay. And what about the big printer in here? I've heard it's a bit of a dinosaur. Well, it is, but it works perfectly well. And we print next to nothing with it, anyway. Most of the drawings are printed at the factory. Oh. So that's it. In this conversation, we knew that she described the printer as being a dinosaur. I've heard it's a bit of a dinosaur. Dinosaur here means old, outdated. علشان كده هو رد عليها قال لها هي قديمة بس هي بتشتغل كويس وكده كده احنا مش بنعمل الطبعات في المكتب. So let's come and go to the questions. Number 1, most of the screens are too small. That is true. Number 2, engineers spend a lot of time working on screen. That is again true. Number 3, large number of drawings are printed at their office. That is false. They copy few copies, very few copies. Most drawings are printed at the factory, not the office. Okay. So, these words that we got in the extract, which were roughly the vast majority, next to nothing, a good, all over. وهو بيتكلم دايما وهو بيتكلم استخدم الحاجات اللي احنا كنا قلناها في الباوربوينت في السلايدز. فهو هنا عاوز نختار الكلمة اللي معناها هو اللي مكتوب ده. Find words and phrases in audio script 8.9 on page 93 to match the following definitions 1 to 5. Number 1, approximately. the word that means approximately is roughly. Number 2, much more than. أكتر من. What is the word well over? Number 3, at least. 2/3 means a good. This much, at least, or this much, a good. Number 4, at most is going to be the vast majority. احنا ممكن نقول pretty much بس pretty much ما جاش في الاكستراكت، فاحنا بنختار الكلمات اللي هو قالها في الاكستراكت. So number 4 is going to be the vast majority. Number 5, almost zero is next to nothing. يبقى هي دي معاني الكلمات اللي هو قالها. well over much more than. يبقى لما نيجي نتكلم عن رقم او نيجي نقول رقم تقريبي لحاجة اكتر من، لما نيجي نقول مثلا I need a new lamp. So your father's going to tell you, okay, how much would it cost? You're going to tell him, well, it is well over 15,000. يعني أكثر من 15,000. Or you could say a good 17,000. يعني at least 17,000. So this is the thing about these words. Okay. Now the last exercise, C. Complete the following replies to express the figures in approximate terms using the words in exercise 11D and 12B. Sometimes more than one answer is possible. 11D 12B اللي احنا لسه عاملينها دي. 11D دول. اوكي so العشرة كلهم اللي احنا خدناهم في الباوربوينت المفروض نحط منهم هنا. Sometimes more than one answer is possible. ممكن في أكتر من إجابة تبقى صح للسؤال الواحد. Okay, let's see. How old is this equipment? A good 5 years old. At least 5 years. What percentage of the PCs need changing? Blank, all of them. 95. 95 means that they are very, highly recommended. So 95, pretty much. A lot of amount. Pretty much. Pretty much all of them. Or we can use the vast majority, anything you want, so pretty much. Number 3. How many of the computers are are up to spec? Spec to specifications. That they are of the good standards that we are looking for. 70%. They wrote 70%. So we are going to say 3 is going to be nowhere. all of them. لما هو جاي يتكلم قال ان معظمهم صغيرين وعايزين نغيرهم باكبر، فهي بتقول له كم عدد الاجهزه اللي موصفه اللي مطابقه للمواصفات اللي احنا عاوزينها. قال لها no way all of them. 70% منهم مش مطابقين. Number 4. How many of the staff use the CAD system? Half of them. 50-50. 55. So it's going to be roughly or somewhere in the region of. Number 5. How much would the new printers cost? He said 2,000 and outside we have 120. يبقى هو قال حاجة والطبيعي اللي هو اللي بجد بقى أكتر، فهو هيبقى الايه well over means more than. well over 2,000. Number 6. How much does an adapter like this cost? $2. Only $2. هل $2 حاجة؟ لا. يبقى ايه الكلمة اللي احنا هنختارها؟ next to nothing. next to nothing. How much does an adapter like this cost? next to nothing. Number 7. How long would a full system take to install? 5 days, from 4 to 6. So it is roughly 5 days or somewhere in the region of 5 days. Number 8. Can most of our clients read these files? Yes, 95% of them. So 95% of them means what? The vast majority. Can most of our clients read these files? Yes, the vast majority of them. And that's it with this section. I hope you understood, and goodbye up to the next unit. Until the next unit, bye bye.